All right. Good evening, everyone. Let's get started with the market update video for today. I'll just quickly go through each and every sector. We'll discuss what we had discussed the last video, and we'll see how it played out, and we'll discuss the view for tomorrow. All right. So let's just start with Nifty Reality. We'll start with the top gainer. So Nifty Reality, if you see, the view was shared from this base to take longs, and again there was another base formation right here which you could have used for longs, but honestly it has run up a lot now, right? So I would probably not want to chase it anymore. If you see what's happening on the daily chart, it has broken out of this high, so there's a chance of a pullback now. So once it is broken out of this high, the chance of some kind of a pullback now. So I'll just mark the high again. So there's a chance of some kind of a pullback to these areas right here. There's a demand zone on the lower time frame right here. If I mark it, yes, see, this is the demand zone. So maybe it forms a multi-day base right here before it starts moving up again, because the structure is extremely bullish in Nifty Reality. The structure is still very nice, so you can avoid it for now. It was a good run from these areas where we have started spotting it. It was the previous breakout level. It has been a good run. Now I'll try to avoid this sector. Nifty Reality, Nifty IT, again, this sector just doesn't take a breather. So the view was that after it takes out this supply right here, it will form a base and then it will move up. It moved up nicely. It gave an entry in the morning here after it formed this base right here. A few stocks which you could have traded from the IT sector was, one was Techem. I think a lot of people traded this as well. Another one was Infosys as well. You see, there's a nice little entry here with a stop here. If you get shaken out, then you can enter here again for the next move on the upside. So a lot of nice entries on the long side in Nifty IT. We discussed this as well. All right. So probably now it's the time to avoid Nifty IT for a long trade tomorrow. All right. So Nifty Media, we had discussed the long bias. Nifty Media, the bias is still long. So if you see, this is the previous breakout level in Nifty Media, which was the previous day high. It was taken out very, very easily. So you see, the supply in this sector is very weak. So you can still expect some up move from these demand zones right here. You can expect an up move from these demand zones here. And if I pick up Nifty Media stocks, so you see, there is no selling actually in Nifty Media stocks. See, all this is buying. Look at the high volume buying which is going on, and then look at this. It's just sticking around the VWAP above this demand zone. So tomorrow it's good for an up move again. There is no selling as such in Nifty Media stock. So Zeal is good. PVR, I discussed about this accumulation base, and now it has broken out. So you can take PVR around these demand zones again. PVR is still good, right? So all the Nifty Reality stocks are showing any lack of selling happening. Sun TV, there has been some attempt at going down, but again, it could not really take out this base. So if it takes out this supply tomorrow and sustains here, again it will move towards the upside to these to this high right here, right? So Nifty Media is still good for an up move. You can keep it on watch. So Nifty Auto, see, the view was that only if it dips down to this demand zone you can take a long, but it just spiked up and couldn't really cross this right here. So now what it's doing is, this is the reference range as I had discussed in Nifty Auto. Now you can trade this demand zone because it made a new high. So you can start trading this demand zone. Of course, when you trade it, this will become a distribution base, because if it falls down, this will automatically become a distribution base. So it can spend some time here, maybe even go down to fill this area right here, right? So you can trade this demand zone, but be very skeptical about getting a huge move, because I don't think that's possible uh, as of now in Nifty Auto, right? So if I check out auto stocks, this is a good one. So if it dips down, so if you see, this is the previous demand zone right here, the previous high right here. So if I check the daily chart, this is also trying to go above this daily high right here, right? And it's kind of trying to go above it without really any deep retracement. So if you see, this automatically becomes a reference range for me. So any dip into the demand zone here, basically this one is untested. So if it comes down here anyhow, I will take it. But if it just moves up, I'll probably avoid it. Balkrishna Industry is just going up after this accumulation base, a multi-day accumulation base actually, this big base right here. I'd taken a long here, so this played out well. Apollo Tires is looking kind of weak now, because you see, this is distribution, okay? This area is distribution, so you can ignore Apollo tires for tomorrow on the long side. This is looking nice. So Aisha Motors is still looking nice. You can use this, maybe this demand zone. If it doesn't gap and shoot up, if it comes down and gives an entry, you can take this on the upside for tomorrow. This is looking good. So Aisha Motors is there on the auto sector. Motherson Sumi, you can avoid it. It dumped down after forming this distribution area right here. So if you see, it actually formed a top right here, and now it's broken down of this area. So I won't really try to take a long here, because you see this breakdown is accompanied by volumes. Look at the VWAP movement, right? So this base right here is going to pose a lot of supply. So I won't really short it, because my view is on the long side for the auto sector. So it might just use this base to go up again, right? This can be a shakeout as well. So let's see how it develops. I'll ignore it as of now. Maruti is looking nice. So Maruti, the accumulation base is here, and this demand zone is very active. Gave a trade yesterday. Now it's coming down here again, and this is the 50 moving average as well on the hourly. So you can trade longs in Maruti again. TVS is also looking very nice. All right. So if you see in TVS, you can use this base, or you can use this base for longs again. This is looking great. Bharat Forge I'll try to avoid, because see, this is distribution now. Now this is some kind of a selling happening at these levels, so I'll avoid Bharat Forge. Hero Motorcorp has run up a lot. You can wait for another day, or you can take this long, because these highs, these are weak supplies. Because see, every candle which comes down, this stalls around the VWAP, so it's not really any selling which is going on. Now Ashok Leyland, it's contracting very nicely. It's looking good on the hourly as well. It might just shoot up in the morning itself tomorrow. So the only scenario where I'm taking a long in this is if it breaks out of here. If it breaks out here, and then it comes back down. Right? This is the only scenario where I'm taking longs in Ashok Leyland, but I'm definitely watching this stock. Tata Motors has moved a lot. This is the last demand, so now it's at elevated levels with some topping out characteristics. See this rejection from the supply right here, so I'll avoid this one. Bajaj Auto is looking nice. If you see, this demand zone is definitely tradable. It's also in at the level of this one right here, so you can expect something like this in Bajaj Auto tomorrow. M&M avoided, just dumping down, creating some kind of a base, but then this supply will act as a resistance to the stock. Now Scots was a nice long which you would have taken today. This is the base breakout. This is a demand zone which led to the breakout. Price comes back. Here are your longs and immediate up move. Now it has moved, so you can avoid. So the stocks which I'm watching is Aisha Motors, TVS Motors, definitely Maruti also, Bajaj Auto is also there, and Ashok Leyland is also there for a long trade in the auto sector. So metal, if you see, metals are just following the arrows as and when we are drawing them. So if you see, the view was to take a longs at this demand zone and played out very nicely in the metals. Again, you can take it on the upside. So I'll just delete everything. So the view was to take longs at this demand zone, played out very nicely, because this was the accumulation base, right? So this area is very important, and this demand zone created a new high in the morning, and now we got the long later, right? So the structure is still good, even though there are some signs of supply here. If you see, there are some signs of supply here. What I'll want at least 2 to 3 hours of sideways action here, and then you can take it on the upside from these demand zones. Otherwise it can give a sharp pullback to this one, where you can take a long trade. I wouldn't really advise shorting this, because the structure is very, very bullish. So if I so let's see if it pulls back, and then we'll see some metal stocks, because they've run up a lot. So let's see if it pulls back tomorrow or not. Nifty Energy again gapped up. Now it's trying to form a base. So you see supply has kicked in now. So this is supply right here. Now this is the reference range for Nifty Energy, this entire up move. It will keep rotating here, so you can avoid it now. Pharma as well, it's continuing to develop the range, and now it's looking like a top as well. So it might pull back to this level, and then maybe continue the up move from this base. So let's see if that happens. Till then, I'll avoid the pharma sector. FMCG, as expected, it's forming a range right here. This demand is still active and untested, so tomorrow you can look for longs at this demand zone again in FMCG sector. I'll just remove the other arrows. So if I check out some FMCG stocks, Yeah, you can ignore. Okay, so Dabur is looking like a distribution around these levels, right? So you can ignore this. Yeah, this is looking really nice. You see, the view was to take a long in the morning, but it just spiked up. The arrows are already drawn. Tomorrow again, the view is same. You trade this demand zone again. You trade this demand zone. These are some kind of equal lows. So any trap, take it on the upside. But the bias is important. The trap is not important. The bias is important. It might just gap up and shoot up itself. Shoot up in the morning itself. So Nestle, you can avoid it. I tried taking a long here in Nestle, but then I exited around my costs here because the stock was weakening out. And probably I should have avoided because it had already moved a lot. So avoiding this would have been better. So wait for this demand zone in Nestle. If it doesn't come down, I'll avoid it. Colgate, again, the view was to take a long at this demand zone. So it came down here, just stayed here and fell down. So it didn't really show any signs of buying. So you can avoid Colgate as well. Alright, this is nice. So the view was to take a long at this demand zone in Britannia. And it has closed around that demand zone today. So tomorrow, if you see that it tests the supply and doesn't immediately dump down, just stays here for a while, you can take a long here, Britannia. So in FMCG, I'm seeing Nifty, I'm seeing Hindustan Unilever and Britannia as well for a long trade. PSU Bank's the view was to go long at this demand zone. The view still holds. This is not really has not really tested it, so the view still holds for tomorrow. You see, there is no selling here. This is buying. This is no selling. Nifty Finance is also the same. The view was to take longs at this demand zone. Again, no selling at all. Bank Nifty also no selling at all. The view was to take longs at this demand zone if it gives a breakout here, right? So you could have taken a long here actually. You would have taken a long here, but it would fail from this supply, so you would have to exit here. But the view still stands bullish, right? The sectors continuing from the last video is Nifty Finance, Bank Nifty, and PSU Bank on the long side. Nifty Metal on the long side, Nifty Auto on the long side if it dips down, and Nifty Media from the current market price on the long side. So I'm really liking media stocks. We've been discussing media stocks since this base. We have been discussing for longs, and look at how the trend is shaping up. I'm really liking how this is shaping up, and media will definitely be on my focus all the time in the coming days, as it has been for the last few days. All right, so let's just pick up Nifty as well. So if I pick up Nifty, what it's doing currently, so Nifty is comfortably sitting. Still the trend is super strong, no weakness yet. It's continuously forming higher days again and again. Now if I show you the hourly, this is some kind of a consolidation, so you might see some movement like this here, because this is a very tight range which is being formed here in Nifty, right? If it doesn't break out, and if it breaks out and it sustains here, then that's a very strong sign. You will see this continuing for multiple days, but you can definitely see some shakeout below these lows into this base right here, which was the last up move, and this up move had no momentum again. So you see, this is momentum, this is momentum, this is momentum, all right, but this is not momentum. So it's time to be a bit on the back foot for longs in Nifty, even though I'm bullish. So you'll short only if this is taken out, this right here. If it's taken out, only then you'll short, otherwise it's completely fine. All right, so that is the market view for today, and hopefully it's helping you guys out. Kindly make sure to like the video so that it helps the channel grow, and I will see you guys tomorrow with the video around 8:30 p.m. again. Good night everyone.